Hey, folks, glad you could be here today. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I'm certainly having a wonderful day, and it's even better because I get to share it with you. And what we're going to talk about today is how to boost your brain function and your memory power. Now, how many people would like to do that? How many people forgot why they wanted to do that? No, it's great. It's so wonderful to have a good memory, and it's so much fun to remember things and remember people's names and remember facts. And I was at a party last week, and a fella came up to me, and he just was going on and on and on. He said, you're an amazing brain. Your brain is so different than anyone I've ever met before. He was a former teacher. And he said, I've never known anyone who could just pull facts out of their head like that. And he said, how do you do it? And I said, it's not that I do anything. It's that I don't do a lot of things. I don't do the things that cause my brain to malfunction. Thus, the brain works pretty well. And so that's what's so cool about a lot of things I always teach you is that many times it's a passive event that has to occur in your life. You have to not do something to get the results that you want. I can't make it any easier than that. People say, what's the secret? There's no secret. Just stop poisoning yourself. So, you know about the food. If you're a regular listener, you know what we're going to talk about. We talk about the bad foods, the 7 deadly sins of nutrition: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. I know the big 7, right? It's what everybody's diet consists of every day. And then we talk about the foods you should eat, like fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. But when it comes to the brain needs 3 things, not just nutrition. It also needs oxygen, and it needs stimulation. And what's happening is, in our society today, we're not giving the brain the stimulation that it needs. And so our brain may not be working at its peak performance. Now, how do you stimulate your brain? You can do it physically by doing physical activities, cleaning the house, straightening up, yard work, going for a walk, working out, bicycling. We're going to talk about walking a little bit later and how to walk. There's actually a right way and a wrong way to walk where it can actually help your brain or it can hurt your brain. So if you're somebody who likes to walk or jog or keep in motion, you might be doing it wrong. Isn't that weird? You can actually walk wrong? Yeah, you can. And I write about that in my most recent book called Prescription for Extreme Health, The Right Way to Walk. Pretty important. So the brain needs stimulation. So exercise is one way to do it. Learning new things is something that's wonderful to stimulate the brain. And that's why it's so important that you do things like listen to this show. Because every show, I promise you, I'm going to give you information, at least something that you'd never heard before. I have people that I've known for 20, 30 years, 40 years. And they'll say, every time you do a lecture, I learn something new. So that's why the show is great. And that's why we archive these shows on my website. No charge. We podcast them. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Hundreds of hours of radio shows. So if you want stimulation, you don't know what to do, there it is. And I was at a party the other day, and there was a doctor there. What was it, infectious disease, was it? I don't remember anyway. And she had never heard the show. And she goes, I've heard so much about you. All my colleagues talk about you and everything. She says, but I don't listen to the radio. I only listen to podcasts. I said, go to my website. She goes, oh, okay, thank you. So the radio show's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, hundreds of hours of shows. Also video. We videotape a lot of my live lectures. I guess that's called a podcast, right? A video, is that a podcast? I don't know. So we have video podcasts as well. And in case you're a visual learner, that's all on the website as well. So let's talk about things you can do. Because there's no time like the present to get your brain working. Because I promise you, as you get older, it's going to get harder and harder, just like just about everything else in life, except being lazy. It's a lot easier to be lazier as you get older. But exercise is harder, going to work is harder, just functioning is harder. You don't want to go out to parties like you used to. So a couple of things you need to do. Now, one of the big things that helps the brain work is sleep. You can sleep your way to a super brain. And you think to yourself, the reason my brain isn't working because I'm tired. Not necessarily. That's one reason. But if you can get a good 8 hours of sleep a night, which I know sometimes it's hard, it's going to really boost your creative juices. And there's a lot of things that are going to happen following that. So you can sleep your way to a healthier brain. So there's a strategy that even couch potatoes can appreciate. According to new research, University of Notre Dame at Boston College, getting at least 8 hours of sleep helps your brain think more creatively. Scientists have found that people who get more sleep are better able to organize memories and reconfigure them in a way that produces new insights and creative ideas. So what happens is when you're sleeping, your brain is actually sorting and filing thoughts and memories. It's not just that you're tired. Researchers determined that sleep helps consolidate memories, fixing them in your brain so that you can retrieve them later. So it actually kind of reboots your brain and cleans up your hard drive. So what's one of the things that happens with sleep is as we get older, people say, I got to get up and pee. Happens all the time. So here's a little trick. All you have to do is stop drinking a lot of fluids around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then by the time you go to bed, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, whatever time you go to bed, 10 o'clock is usually a good time, you've gotten all that extra fluid out of your system. You can have a couple of sips here and there. I'm not saying, don't drink anything. But if you drink a lot of water or whatever, wine, before you go to bed, you're going to wake up and you're going to pee, and that's going to interrupt your sleep. Also, alcohol. Alcohol prevents you from getting into that deep REM, that REM sleep, where the brain actually does its sorting. So it's important that you get that deep sleep the best you can. And we talked about using the brain or losing it, and that's really important because you have to change the way your connections in your brain work, and you do that by learning new things. So we're learning new things about the brain every day. It's such a great field of science to be in, and it's getting the brain to function more efficiently, and you actually create new connections. And then old connections can start to fade out and not be as strong. And a good example is if you've ever learned a language. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and we were in a Mexican restaurant, and she speaks fluent Spanish, and there was a soccer game on. And I said, now, can you understand these soccer announcers? Can you hear what they're saying? She goes, well, years ago when I used it a lot more, yes. But now I just kind of pick up words here and there. I don't get the whole sentence. So more and more research shows that similar to muscles, they can get out of shape, and you have to get them back in shape. So if they're not used regularly, your brain needs to be challenged for optimum performance. So there are not only mental health benefits to pushing yourself intellectually, but there's also serious health benefits because your brain controls everything. Your brain sends messages down your spine, out your nerves to every cell in the body. So the stronger your brain is by learning new things and creating new connections, the healthier you're going to be because the brain controls your liver, your spleen, your pancreas, blood pressure, your prostate. So that's the main center, the main control center. You've got to get it working properly. Folks, I'm going to have to go to a break. I'm going to open up the phone lines. If you have a healthcare question, give me a call. My number is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. That's the number here at the studio. My website, lots of good information there. Archived shows, drjoeesposito.com. Or just Google Dr. Joe, the number one Dr. Joe in the world. So just Google Dr. Joe. But lines are open right now, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Hey, folks, tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be. I am so glad that you're here. We're talking today about ways to boost your brain and your brain power and your memory power because that's a big issue. So many people say, I just can't remember things or, oh, did I have something to do today? Now, we can get overwhelmed. We live in a society with a lot going on. And so you can leave little tricks to remind yourself. I use sticky notes. Everybody laughs at me. And they have sticky notes, these little square things, and they have stickiness all across the back, not just across one little area, the whole thing. And I put them on my dashboard of my car. I put them in my office, my house. I have a pad next to my bed. And so when I sleep, sometimes I get these brilliant ideas. I'll write them down in the middle of the night. Now, I have the worst handwriting of any human being ever on the face of the earth. And if I'm writing in the dark at night, I'd say 60% of the time, can't make out what it says. But these brilliant ideas come to me and I need to write them down. So you can help yourself. Use your phone, use your computer as reminders. And that's going to help tremendously because it's going to remind your brain is working and your brain is going to say, oh, okay, if I have a new idea, I don't have to constantly keep thinking about it to remember it. All I have to do is put it somewhere. So leaving yourself notes is a really good idea. Just make sure you follow up on it. Now, we talked earlier before the break about the health benefits of getting the brain working because the brain controls everything. And as a chiropractor, my job is to make sure the brain is getting messages down the spine, out the nerves, to the body, and back up again. Now, two things can interfere with the messages, chemical or physical. Now, chemical would be food, drugs, alcohol, environmental toxins. So we do like to look at your diet. And we're going to talk more about chemistry as we go on with this topic. The food you put in your body, what foods are good, what foods are not good. And it's not just food. If you're inhaling toxic chemicals, hairsprays, colognes, perfumes, these are chemicals many times that have endocrine disruptors in them that can mess with your brain function. So if you listen to other shows in the past, you know I'm not a big fan of any type of synthetic fragrances. And if you go to my website, I'm sure we have a bunch of shows on the website, drjoeesposito.com, archive there. My gift to you, listen when you'd like to. So you got to make sure that the brain is working from a chemical standpoint and from a physical standpoint. Every time you do something, okay, right now you're listening. Your ear is picking up my voice. It goes up into the brain. The brain processes it, sends a message back to the ear, and they're talking back and forth to each other, your ear and your brain. You touch something, the hand sends a message up to the brain, the nerves. The brain says, okay, that's something soft. Go back to the hand. You don't have to worry about it. It's safe. You touch something hot, brain says, get your hand off of there. It's hot. So the brain needs constant stimulation. And from a physical standpoint, if bones are out of place anywhere in the body, especially the spine, that's a biggie, you can block the messages either going up to the brain or back down to the body. And that's going to affect the amount of stimuli that the brain has. So by having pinched nerves, you might think, well, I have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. I can take some aspirin to cover up the pain. Not a bad idea. But now you're not giving the brain the proper stimulus that it needs. So the brain isn't going to work at 100%. So pain is not only something that's annoying, it's also a warning sign telling you something's wrong, but it's also affecting the neurological input that your brain is getting. And what do we say? The brain needs stimulation, oxygen, and nutrition. You don't want to cut off the brain. It's not a bad thing. So you want to start building your brain by learning more and learning different things. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in a second, how you do the same thing over and over again. If I told you to write down everything you ate for the past year, chances are I'd see about 10, maybe 20 different foods. That's about it. But you do the same routine. You brush your teeth, you zip your fly, you put your clothes on, you start your car, you drive to work. Just even driving a different way to work is something that's different. It's making the brain work in a different way. Brush your teeth with the opposite hand. Do something while brushing your teeth. Do squats. Do lunges. You're putting a bunch of this neurological input. When you go hiking, it's good to hike on uneven surfaces. If you can. I mean, if you have trouble walking, of course, try to stay stable. But if you can walk up and down hills on dirt paths, the more neurological input you put into the brain, because you have to balance and go up and down, it's better for the brain. So it's kind of cool. So if you go for a jog every day and you're running on a flat surface on the same area, that's okay, but it may not be the best way to do it. I'm going to start taking some callers. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. Hilda, my aunt's name. How can we make your day better?
Can you tell me if taking high doses of antidepressants I was prescribed has a residual effect on my memory? I have been off of the antidepressants for about 4 years, and I have really bad memory problems. I want to blame it on the antidepressants.
Well, the answer is it could be, yes. I mean, it could be other things too. But what happens is if you have antidepressants, the way the brain works, it produces something called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters, there's four major ones. Serotonin. Serotonin helps keep you focused and happy. Okay, so that many times we give you a specific serotonin reuptake inhibitors to utilize the serotonin that you have, to utilize it more efficiently. Another approach that I like to work on with my patients is make more serotonin.
Okay.
And you make more serotonin by fixing your digestive system. So if you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, chances are you're not digesting your food properly. And your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. And amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. So if you're utilizing the little bit of serotonin that you have, your body says, well, I don't have to make any more. And so now if we come off it, you may not be producing enough serotonin. 95% of the serotonin in your body is not used in your brain. It's used in your digestive system.
Okay.
So if you have any type of digestive problem and you're not producing the right amount of serotonin, the answer then is yes, it could be doing it.
Okay.
So what do we do about it? Oh, that's your question.
We followed your instructions.
There you go. So do you have any digestive problems, heartburn, burping, gas, anything like that?
Not really, not severe, just minor things with certain foods.
Okay, yeah, but even a little bit, if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm and spasming, or the colon is spasming, it could be affecting the production of serotonin. So go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and there's an article on GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. I think you go under blogs, and then it's Dr. Joe's articles, and then it's like the sixth article down. And read that. We talk about how in our offices we work on physically pulling the stomach down away from the diaphragm. So not only do we help get the acid out of your throat, which can lead to things even as bad as cancer, but it helps the stomach digest proteins into amino acids to produce the neurotransmitters, and that helps the brain tremendously in a lot of cases. And then I take nutrient. I always recommend you take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source as a minimum amount of nutrients every day to give your brain what it needs to work.
Okay.
Okay?
Great. Thank you.
Hilda.
I will do that.
Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. And, folks, if you don't know what Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are, you should. They're two powders I created them years ago for myself, actually, and now we make them available to you. But it's the minimum amount of nutrients your body needs, what we call the core nutrients that your brain needs to function the best it possibly can. And not just your brain, your body, your immune system. They're two powders. I take a scoop of each. I shake it up. I mix it with like coconut milk, ramen milk. Love the taste. I have it sitting right here in front of me right now. And if you're not taking anything, or even if you are, at least take the Super Greens and the Essential Source as your core nutrients. And those are available on the website, drjoeesposito.com. Also on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can order from Amazon too. But look that up. I think you'll be really happy with that product. Folks, got to go to run. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, once again, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. I am so happy we get to spend a little time together. Thanks for being here. And what we're talking today about is memory and getting your brain to work better. And a lot of times we just think, well, the brain is a place where I store my memories, but that's not necessarily it. In fact, that's one of the minor things that your brain does. Your brain controls everything. Nothing happens unless the brain tells it what to do. Your brain has to tell your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, your eyes to see, your colon to digest food, your liver to break down toxins and store nutrients and create fat or digest fat and break down. It does everything. And so we so abuse our brains on a daily basis, and then when they start to fail, we're shocked. I don't know why I can't remember things. I don't know why I'm so tired all the time. A lot of that has to do with the brain just not working properly. And many times we can affect it by food, for good or bad. Alcohol destroys what? Brain cells, right? How many people knew that? How many people forgot that? Oh, okay, Ahmad didn't raise his hand. Okay, good. Alcohol destroys brain cells. Brain controls everything. So you think, well, if I'm going to drink, I'm going to get drunk, and it's done. I'll wake up with a hangover, and I'm done. But you're destroying brain cells that control your pancreas and your spleen and your adrenal glands and your thymus. And so it's a lot of things that you do every day that cause this brain damage. And if you're not getting enough sleep, the brain can't do its job. If you're not getting proper nutrients, the brain can't do its job. If you have an infection, the brain can't do its job. Because years ago, we looked at the brain as the body as segments. You had a heart doctor, you had a lung doctor, you had a liver doctor, you had a spleen doctor. And the doctors treated the body as parts. But the new trend in healthcare now is treating the body as a whole. In fact, even with cancer treatments, a lot of patients come to us for holistic cancer treatments. And I tell them, listen, I'm not here to treat your cancer. It's not my job. My job is to get you healthy. And the research is going from where we used to remove cancer and do chemo and radiation, which is still happening, but now they're starting to incorporate immunotherapy, getting your immune system functioning at a higher level or more normal level so that the body can fight off the disease itself. Because if somebody comes in, and this goes for anything, you have a tumor and you get the tumor removed. That's great. And I'm blown away by how brilliant medicine is in many cases. But if you keep doing the same things that you did to cause the tumor to form, it's going to form again. And so the brain has to kind of take over and say, all right, we're not going to do the things that we did before, but if you don't let the brain do that by giving it by not giving it the right foods or not giving it the right stimulation or not giving it the right oxygen, it can't. So we know that the brain controls everything, including the immune system. And so if you have infections, and one of the infections that's interesting coming up now, ties in what I'm talking about here, is Helicobacter pylori, or H. pylori. Now, we used to think that H. pylori was an infection in the gut, and it caused ulcers. And this was revolutionary when the research came out that found out that a lot of ulcers were being caused by a bacteria. And one of the reasons that we have bacteria is because we don't have enough stomach acid. So where we were trying to reduce people's stomach acid because they had ulcer burning, we found out that in many cases, not all, depends on the case, we need to increase their stomach acid. And as we increase the stomach acid, it's able to kill off the bacteria. We all have this H. pylori in us. It's when H. pylori sets up shop in the gut. And when it comes to brain and memory health and cognitive function, a lot of people don't think about infections being related to it. We think about infections like H. pylori specifically for ulcers. But more and more research is coming out that this little menacing microbe can be related to poor memory function, dementia, and even Alzheimer's. Many doctors prescribe antibiotics for H. pylori, but it's becoming increasingly resistant to antibiotics. This is a big issue in healthcare, that when you start dumping antibiotics, it kills off a lot of it, but not all of it. And then it mutates, and then it mutates again, and then it mutates again. And so now the antibiotics that we used to use for simple infections or big and advanced infections aren't working anymore. And now you're starting to see things like MRSA coming up, hospital infections. You go to hospital, you can get these infections that are now drug resistant. So we got to be careful with that. So if you're prescribing a lot of antibiotics, and in fact that's the trend now in medicine as well, is prescribe less antibiotics. Years ago, I remember the American Pediatric Association said that we shouldn't prescribe antibiotics for most ear infections for children, because children that were given antibiotics or weren't given antibiotics healed in about the same amount of time. So we're using less and less antibiotics if possible, so that when we do need them, they're there. The problem is this. If you're eating commercial meats and dairy products, chances are these commercial meats and dairy products have been given antibiotics. And so every time you're eating meats and dairy products, aside from the other issues that I've discussed many times over, and I will again in the future, you're giving yourself these low-dose antibiotics. And so now you're more susceptible to creating antibiotic-resistant infections. It's pretty dangerous, so you got to be careful with that. Another reason, if you do animal products, either meat or dairy products or eggs or cheese or butter, I'm going to recommend you do organic only or don't eat them. I choose not to eat them. I haven't had an animal product in over 30 years. I'm not asking you to be crazy like me. I'm just asking you to make better choices. If you didn't eat them, all the better, but if you do eat them, organic only or don't eat it. So new research is showing that specific strains of probiotics have the ability to treat the H. pylori infection on their own. Probiotics are good bacteria. H. pylori is a bad bacteria. So naturally occurring compounds found in certain foods can also help fight off infections. Cranberry juice has been shown in a lot of studies to be effective against H. pylori infections. If you're going to do cranberries or cranberry juice, here's the thing. You can't do cranberry juice cocktail. That's loaded with sugar, which actually makes the problem worse. So you want to do pure cranberry juice, organic preferably. It's very bitter, does not taste good at all. You're probably going to dilute it with some water and drink it that way. That's much more effective, but it's got to be organic. It's got to be pure with absolutely no sugar added. Oregano oil has been demonstrated significant effectiveness against H. pylori infection on its own. Garlic. Garlic is antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. Things like echinacea and pau d'arco are herbs that can stimulate your immune system. Or actually, I shouldn't say stimulate, stabilize your immune system and get it working better. I mean, think about it. How did our grandparents live to be 80, 90, 100 years old? Antibiotics weren't around. They used a lot of natural foods. Now, that being said, I'm not telling you not to take drugs, and I'm not telling you not to take antibiotics. But if you do things prophylactically, if you do things to stop things from happening, that's where that word comes from, hopefully you won't need these medications. So garlic is great. Echinacea is great. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I have probiotics and prebiotics in there. Probiotics are the good bacteria. Prebiotics feed the good bacteria in your colon. It's like fertilizer for the good bacteria. So that's something that's good. You can try taking some raw organic apple cider vinegar. Raw organic apple cider vinegar, and I don't like the flavor of it. I'm going to be straight up with you. But if you can do about a tablespoon a day, it's loaded with probiotics, and it can help stimulate acid production in the stomach, which can then hopefully kill off the H. pylori. And again, this is in addition to everything else you're doing. But if you're doing this on a regular basis, chances are you won't have to do the other things. Taking enzyme supplements. That's not a bad idea, because as we get older, our enzyme levels drop dramatically. And so we need to get those enzymes back up. Folks, I hear the music playing, so I got to go to a break. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. You can order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, if you have questions, send them to me through the website. But the number here, 844-44-DR-Joe. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, I'm so glad you spent a little time with me today. I do appreciate that. Everybody's real busy, and I know everybody has other things to do, so I'm very honored that you take time to be with me today. So we're talking today about brain function, how to improve your memory and how to improve your brain function, your brain power. Obviously, a very hot topic because we're getting lots and lots of calls. If you have a question, give us a call at 844-44-DR-Joe. Also, folks, follow me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram because we send out information about show topics. Many times on my website, we'll post shows that I record in advance of them airing. So you, as somebody who follows me, get access to these shows on my website, which is kind of cool. And if I have events coming up, sometimes they're in your area, I want you to come out. In fact, go to my website and come out to my live events because they're a lot of fun. And sometimes big companies hire me, and I can't bring you to those because they're paying me. It's for their employees. But a lot of times it's public lectures, and it's just a blast. If you've never come to my live lectures, they are just so much fun. And Dr. Gale, one of my doctors, did send me a text again and say, don't forget to talk about kids and healthcare. And it's true because as kids, if you're straight, your spine is straight, you grow straight. If your spine is crooked, you grow crooked. And that's why we see so many children in our chiropractic practices because parents get that. And they understand if the baby's nervous system is healthy and the spine is straight, chances are they're going to grow up a lot healthier. So let's go back to the callers. We have lots of good callers here. And Matthew, how can we make your day better?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Very well.
All right, I got a question for you. I was on an anxiety medication for about 6-8 years, and I stopped taking it about a year ago, and I just feel like my memory is just so bad, and I just am wondering if it's going to get better, because, I mean, it was awful when I was on the anxiety medication, but I just don't know if it's going to ever get better, if there's anything I can do.
Well, the answer is it will get better, hopefully, if you do certain things. If you don't do anything, chances are it's not going to get better, and that's just like any other healthcare problem. So a couple of things you need to do is you really need to stay away from the foods that are not going to nourish your brain. So that would be excessive sugar, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Got to drop those out of your diet. Artificial sweetener, like aspartame, has aspartic acid in it. Aspartic acid gets into your brain and can actually burn out your brain cells. It's called an excitotoxin. So you need to stay away from all artificial sweeteners, especially the aspartame. You want to stay away from monosodium glutamate. So for someone like you, Chinese food might be off the list for a while because a lot of Chinese food, even though it says no MSG added, the MSG is in the soy sauce that they're using.
Oh, all right. Now, about how much longer do you think it'll be before I start seeing some kind of improvement or change?
It really depends. I mean, some people, like when I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, I know my brain works better right away. Now, you have damage to the brain, so I don't know how quickly you're going to see it. You can also try something like ginkgo biloba. That's a supplement called ginkgo. That'll increase circulation to the brain. Beet powder. Red beets have something in it called nitrates, and nitrates convert into nitric oxide, which opens up your blood vessels. So if you get red beet powder and mix it in with the Super Greens, the Essential Source, even better. Arugula, which is like a type of lettuce, very high in nitrates. That converts into nitric oxide, which opens up your blood vessels. So increasing the circulation to the brain and the whole body should help. Giving your body food like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds every day, every meal. The stronger you stick to this plan, or the more stringent you are to this plan, the quicker the brain has a chance to heal.
All right.
Okay?
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate the call. And also another thing we have to look at when it comes to the brain is the physical aspects. There's a blood vessel in the back of your bones in your neck called the basovertebral artery. And if the bones in the neck twist out of place, you might have neck pain or headaches or numbness or tingling or muscle spasms. You may also be affecting the basovertebral artery, which can affect the circulation up into the brain. And a lot of patients, I've been doing this for 32 years in practice, plus my internships and everything before that. When patients get chiropractic care and get adjusted, they say, my brain is working so much better. I'm thinking so much clearer. And a lot of that is due to the fact we're opening up the nerve and the blood supply to the brain. So a kink in the neck could be cutting off the blood supply. Not totally, of course, but putting some pressure on it as well. So if you have neck pain and brain function issues, you might want to consider the neck. Let's go back to the callers. If you have a question, folks, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Shandon, is it?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm very well. How can we help you today?
Hey, a little bit off topic, doctor. I have a girlfriend that's suffering from fibromyalgia, and she can't achieve REM sleep. And I was just wondering, what are some things that she could try to improve her sleep patterns that'll help her gain energy from sleeping?
Okay, so we have two different questions there. One is she's got fibromyalgia. What do we do about that? And the second thing is, how do we go into that deep REM sleep? So fibromyalgia we're finding now, is really a brain issue. It's a good question, actually. It ties into this. Because your brain produces a chemical, a neurotransmitter called GABA, G-A-B-A, and that it stands for something. But GABA helps suppress other nerves. In fact, 90% of your brain function is suppressing the other 10%. So many times with fibro patients, we find that the brain is not able to suppress what would be considered a normal amount of pain. And so you have the fibromyalgia, that pain that's just everywhere. So if she has digestive problems, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, we might want to consider checking her stomach to see if she's digesting the food properly. I'd also recommend eating more raw foods, because raw food has something in it called enzymes, and enzymes help break down the other food more efficiently. Okay. We talked about the foods that help with circulation: beet powder, ginkgo biloba, arugula. That's going to help bring circulation and fresh blood to the areas where the spasms are and flush out the waste products. And then chiropractic care is just spectacular in most fibromyalgia cases. I mean, that's just a given. I've had patients threaten to say, listen, if you can't fix me, I'm going to commit suicide. Literally, they're not joking. And when you get their spine lined up, you get their diet working, you get their digestive system working, they like you a lot. Yeah, they want to name kids after you. They're so happy with the results, and that's not an uncommon situation in our office. Now, to answer your question about REM sleep, she can try meditation. There's many different types of meditation, so she can decide what meditation she likes. Look it up online. There's also some supplements she want to consider, like valerian root. Valerian root, very relaxing to the body and can help bring her down into that REM sleep. Also, she shouldn't be drinking any stimulants, coffee, tea, chocolates, anything. And if she does, they can only be first thing in the morning. Because if she's taking them in the afternoon or the evening, no one can get into the REM sleep if they're doing that. So let's try those few things there, Shandon. Let's see what happens there.
All right, thanks so much, Doc.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the call. And, folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website is drjoeesposito.com. You can order Super Greens, Essential Source. Hey, follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Make sure you do that. We're launching a whole new campaign, as a matter of fact, next couple of weeks, sending out a lot of good information there. A lot more to talk about, even how to walk to get your brain working more efficiently. So, folks, don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, everybody. So glad you could spend a little time with me today. We got a lot of good information today, so make sure you get your pen and paper ready. Anybody still use pen and paper? I don't know. You're probably going to record it into your phone somewhere. I do. I keep notes. I take notes everywhere. Carry notes with me. I have sticky notes. I put them everywhere. My car, my house, my office, they're everywhere. So I still go. I use the other stuff, too. I use my computers and my phones and everything. But I sometimes like going old school. So what we're talking about today, which kind of ties into that, is how to boost your brain and your memory power. Because I think all of us would like to have our brain work better, and we'd like to remember things better. So I'm going to teach you some of the things that you need to do. And a lot of the things are passive. You have to not do them, which means you have to not poison your body. For example, we know that alcohol destroys brain cells. Well, if you drink a lot, you're destroying your brain cells. You can't avoid that. It is what it is. If you touch a hot stove, it's going to burn. It is what it is. If you drink alcohol, you're going to destroy brain cells. The only thing you could possibly do to help yourself, and this is not going to solve the problem, is drink a lot of water. Because alcohol is a diuretic. Did you ever notice that? You drink one beer, you pee out 3. Where those other 2 beers come from? Your body is giving up its own vital fluids to flush the alcohol out of the system, because when alcohol gets into the brain, it affects the brain and kills brain cells. Now, I'm a chiropractor. My job is to make sure your brain is sending messages down the spine, out the nerves, to every cell in the body. And if you're damaging your brain cells with things like alcohol, you're not going to get the full brain function that your body needs to make your liver and your spleen, your kidneys and your colon and your reproductive organs work properly. So you think with chiropractic, you might have a pinched nerve, and that nerve goes to your, pancreas. So now the pancreas isn't going to work at 100%. But the message that tells the pancreas to work starts in the brain. So if you're doing brain damage things, it's going to affect brain function, which is going to ultimately affect the function of the organs. That's the principle of having the whole body work together, holistic health, having the body work in unison. And years ago, I talked about this earlier, we used to have heart doctors and lung doctors and ear doctors. And we still do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm so happy there's specialists who are just brilliant in their field. But we're starting to see a more holistic or a whole body approach coming into the health field. Because doctors are getting that, well, if I'm not digesting my food properly, I'm not getting the amino acids. The amino acids can't go to the liver to become neurotransmitters in my brain to make my brain tell my pancreas how to work. Oh. So it could be an acid reflux problem or not enough stomach acid, or you're eating bad foods that are rotting in your colon that's now affecting the brain function. So an overall health, and it's real simple. To obtain and maintain good health, you have to have a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. That's the three things you have to have. Haven't said this on the air a while. It's Joe Obamacare. It's the health care plan that I think we all should be looking at. And in fact, I just saw on one of the social media networks, because I always recommend you follow me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram, and I'll have my accounts up when I'm on the air, and I see how many people follow us and like us, and I do appreciate that because we do send out a lot of good information there. So if you haven't done that yet, do it. But I'm starting to see that certain insurance companies are just dropping out. They don't want to play the insurance game anymore. And people are saying, what do I do? What do I do about insurance? And I just don't have the time to sit there and send out emails or messages to everyone saying, yes, I don't have a problem with you having insurance. But if you take care of yourself, you're less likely to need the insurance. And that's the mentality I want you to have. How can I not ever use my insurance? I want you to waste all that insurance money you've ever spent because you didn't use it. And that's the goal, is keep the body healthy. So ways to make the brain work. And if you're on hold on, folks. I know we got a lot of callers. The number is 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E. And that number, by the way, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. So if you have to reach me for anything, you could always do that. But you got to build new pathways in the brain for the brain to work. Just like with a muscle, if I do the same exercise day after day after day, I'm not going to get the best results. You want to shake it up. It's called muscle confusion. Well, you want to have brain confusion too. So we're creatures of habit. We usually take the same route to work every day. We eat the same basic foods. We watch the same television shows. We use the same household products. We go to the same stores. People drink the same coffee every morning, which you shouldn't be doing, by the way. But the simple act of trying new things or taking a different route to work is going to start building new brain connections, and it's going to help your brain become stronger. So it doesn't mean you have to do something extreme like jumping out of a plane or something crazy like that, but try new foods, try new recipes. If you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter. Just put in your email address, and I'm going to send you a link to a lecture I did called So What Can I Eat? Patients come to us all the time, and they say, doctors, because I have several doctors in my offices, and you'll see, if you come to our offices, you'll see me, any other doctors. And they say, I understand I'm supposed to eat better, but I just don't know what to eat. Tell me what to eat. And so I'll send you the lecture. It's absolutely no charge. Just type in your email address. I'll send you a link to it. And then we'll put you on our newsletter as a list as well, which is a lot of good stuff there. But if you don't know what to cook, my first book, Prescription for Extreme Health, we talk about how to change your diet. And the second half of the book is all different recipes. Simple, easy, quick, fun recipes that you can start making. So just the act of creating something new is going to help your body, because I'm giving you good recipes there. But just the act of learning how to do it is going to help tremendously. And then, of course, you could listen to all my archived shows, my podcasts. I have videos of my live lectures. Those are all for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So think how you can do something differently. Even brushing your teeth with the other hand. Now, I use an electric toothbrush. I think you should too. But it's a little harder if you don't use an electric toothbrush. But try that. And try just walking in a different way. Oh, I got to cover that. That's right. Oh, gosh. Oh, man, I just don't have a lot of time. Folks, if you're on hold, I'll get to you. I promise. I just got a lot to cover here. I did say earlier that I was going to teach you how to walk. And I want you to do something called a cross crawl. So when you walk, I want you to take your right elbow and make sure your right arm goes up and your left leg goes up. And then they go down and your left arm goes up and your right leg goes up. And try it. Just march in place. Stand up if you can right now and just march in place. March, swing your arms and legs, and it should be opposite. There you go. Ahmad's doing it. Ahmad's got it right. Let's see if Johnny's got it. Johnny, all right. We got two geniuses here, Ahmad and Johnny, working right here today. Folks, if you could see what they're doing here, just got the two best production assistants in radio here, just marching in place right there. And it's going to reboot the brain because the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, and the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. If you're marching and you're moving right arm, right leg, and left arm, left leg, stop. Try to concentrate, bring your right elbow to your left knee and then the other way as well. Okay, I got to go to break. That's why I had to rush through that. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Lots of shows archived there. No charge for that. If you have questions, you can send them to me through the website. If you want to make appointments or talk to a staff, you can call 844-44-Dr. Joe. We're not on the air. If you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, which if you're not taking them, folks, you really need to be. It is the ultimate core supplement that you need, in my opinion. That's on the website. Also on Amazon, too. drjoeesposito.com or on Amazon for Super Greens and Essential Source. Hey, got to go to a break. Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. I'll be right back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling your friends about the show. That's why we're growing like crazy. That's why we're picking up new stations just about every week. And if you're a new station, listen to us, thank you. Glad you could join us. This show is heard coast to coast and around the world, so we do appreciate all the new stations picking us up. But it's because people say, hey, listen, we want the show. In one of our cities, I got a call at my office the other day, and a fellow called up. He's very angry that we're only on certain times on it. Why is he not on more often? Why is Dr. Joe not? It's like, it's not my job. It's the program director's job. If you like the show, tell the program director to add more time. So anyway, talking today about memory, how to boost your memory and how to boost your brain power, because we all need that. Stress affects your brain, and there's 3 types of stress. There's physical, chemical, and emotional stresses. Physical stress might be neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, working too hard, working physically, working out too much. You can actually overwork when working out. Chemical stress is eating bad foods, exposing yourself to bad chemicals. And then emotional stress are the things that sometimes I don't have control over, you don't have control over. But if you fix the chemical and the physical, many times the emotional is a lot easier to deal with. So if you have neck pain, back pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, these are all physical stresses, many times easily fixed by putting the bones that are out of place, pinching the nerves back in place. And that's why chiropractic is the fastest, it's next to orthodox medicine. It's a number 2 healthcare profession, and it works well. And it doesn't help everything, but neither does anything. Nothing helps everything. That's why we have a team of doctors that we work with, and we can refer to these different doctors, and they refer back to us so that we can help people get well. All right, let's go back to the callers. Let's go to Helen. Helen, how can we make your day better?
Okay, let me say this first. I hope my friend Susan is listening because she never heard you before. I told her you would be on tonight.
Hi, Susan.
3 years ago, I weighed 165 pounds. I'm 5 feet 6 inches tall.
Okay.
Will be 74 in December, the 24th. Okay, now I weigh 130, and I lost it real slow. I work out, I walk, I try to eat really well. I started on your Super Green, Super Source.
Oh, good girl.
Out of it, got to get some more. So, but here's the thing. It's like, I'm like skinny, like to me. So it's like my thighs are like sagging.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, do I need collagen or what's with that?
Well, as we get older, our skin does sag, of course, and the collagen is the thing that it's a connective tissue, and that holds everything together. So could you use more collagen? Perhaps, but the best way to build up collagen is to keep your body healthy and give your body the raw materials that it needs to build the collagen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask one more question.
Go ahead.
Okay. During the night, I go to the bathroom like 4 times at night, and I start drinking my water like early in the morning, a warm glass of lemon water, and I cut it off between 3 and 4 o'clock. But during the night, I go to the bathroom often. I don't go during the day much.
Okay, that could be a pinched nerve, and I've seen this before with a lot of patients. The nerves in the low back control the back, hips, legs, knees, and ankles, but they also control the colon, the sex organs, and the bladder. Mm-hmm. So we've had patients with urinary issues, and once we open up the nerve supply in the low back to those organs, the organs start to work normally, just like any organ in the body. That's why chiropractic is a lot more than just back pain. It's about getting the organs working as well. So
if
go ahead.
My visit to you would let me know all this?
We could check it and see if it's something we think we can help, and we tell all the patients. If we think we can help you, we'll tell you. If we can't, we'll tell you that too. Yeah, but it'd be a good idea to get it checked. I think everyone should get their spine checked because the spine controls everything. I couldn't imagine not having chiropractors in my life to fix me because I was painting the other day. I painted a room looking up, my neck hurt. Went to one of my doctors. She adjusted me, and I was fine. So, yeah, it'd be a good idea to get the spine checked. I think everybody should get that done.
And one thing with the alcohol,
sure.
I used to drink like, gin, tonic, all this stuff. But that's been over a year ago that I have not had alcohol like that. I've had a little bit of organic wine.
Uh-huh.
So I was wondering if the sagging came from that, years back.
It certainly could, yes, because alcohol it dehydrates your body, and so the body dries up, and collagen needs fluid. And that's what the discs in the body, the connective tissue in the body, as we get older, these connective tissues start to dry up. And so it's vital that you keep the body hydrated as well.
Okay, so would you say that I should take a collagen also? And if so, which?
I don't know if you need it, to be honest with you, as long as you take, like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source work well. People tell me I look 10 or 15 years younger than I am. So it does keep you young and healthy if you're eating the right nutrients. But if you're going to take a collagen supplement, you can call my office. I'll tell you which ones to take. But if you're going to take one from a store, make sure it's organic. That's the most important thing.
Okay. But everybody tells me I look good, but they don't see my thighs. Like I say, I'm skinny.
You shouldn't be flashing those thighs to everybody, Helen, Got to keep a little decorum here. So.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Helen. I appreciate it. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. And my website is drjoeesposito.com. Lots of good information on that website, too, by the way, if you haven't been there. If you're on hold, keep holding, folks. I got to go to a break pretty soon, so I'm going to come back. And we talked about bacteria, how bacteria can actually affect brain function, because we're finding now that the bacteria in your colon actually talk to your brain. So this is kind of interesting, because we always thought that there had to be a hardwired connection. But we're finding now, and we're not sure how this works yet, it's new research that's coming out, is that the bacteria in your colon can actually send messages up to your brain. And we think it's along what's called the vagus nerve, but there are some messages that don't seem to travel along the vagus nerve, which is a connection between your brain and your digestive system. So are we suddenly Wi-Fi? Or not suddenly, are we Wi-Fi in our body? And we think, some cancer research is showing that cancer can do that. Cancer can send out cancer cells along the lymphatics and along the blood system and find a weak area of the body and then send a message, not directly by a nerve, back to the other cancer cells saying, hey, guys, come on over here. Let's set up shop over here. That's very simplified, of course. So maybe we're Wi-Fi. And the bacteria in our colon have to be healthy in order to get the right messages up to the brain for the brain to work. And so you have to make sure, and this kind of goes with what Helen was saying, is you have to keep the body hydrated. Because so many of us are dehydrated. Because when you're a baby, a little tiny baby, there's a part of your brain that controls hunger and a part of your brain that controls thirst. And as you get older, those two parts of the brain grow together. And when they grow together, you have a tough time distinguishing between hunger and thirst. So many times when you're hungry, in fact, as you get older, you need a lot less food. That's another thing, if I don't have time to talk about, I want to touch on. The less food we eat to a point, the better the brain works. Overeating can cause the brain to malfunction. But many times when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So what I want you to do is have a big glass of water before every meal, except for dinner if you have trouble waking up and peeing every night. But maybe 2 glasses of water before breakfast, 2 before lunch, and you'll be amazed how much less food you eat. Folks, got to go to break. If you have questions, if you don't get on the air today, you can always send them to me through my website, drjoeesposito.com. The number 844-44-Dr. Joe rings through to my offices. If you have questions, you want to make an appointment, you want to order supplements, you can do that online, or you can do it through the website or with 844-44-Dr. Joe. Hey, don't go anywhere. I got to go to break. We'll be right back. Go anywhere. I got to go. Thanks so much for being here. I do appreciate you taking time out of your day. Giving you lots of good information today about how to boost your brain and your memory power. Because it's important that our brain works. And we always think about the brain as just being a place that we have memories, but the brain controls everything. That's why if we get your arm cut off, you don't necessarily die, or your leg cut off. You get your head cut off, guess what? It's over, pal. There's no coming back from that because the brain has to tell everything to work, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the spleen. And so if the brain is not working properly, it's not able to send the messages down the spine, out the nerves to the body. So lots to talk about. We also got a lot of callers, so I don't want to have the callers hanging on too long. So let's see here. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff, how can we make your day better?
Oh, you can help me with my chronic kidney disease.
Okay.
And I'm at 19%.
Oh, my. You are chronic.
Yeah. The diet that they're suggesting is bothering me because they say all I can have is 1/4 cup of fruit
a
day.
Right.
and I thrive on fruit.
Sure. Well, the Dr. Joe's Essential Source, we take fruits and vegetables, juice it, take the water out at a very low temperature, and we also take the sugar out. So it should be okay for you with the kidney problem. In fact, a lot of kidney patients do take it and do very well with it. It does have vitamin K in it, which can, if you're taking blood thinners, this can not necessarily clot the blood, but it can help the blood clot. So you might want to check with your doctors on that. But many times the doctors don't know much about supplements when it comes to this either. So of course, you're on a low-protein diet with kidney problems. But the Super Greens, the Essential Source, as far as I know, would be great. And I would say check with your doctors, but it should help tremendously with you.
Yeah. Do you have history with the...
Yeah, we've had many patients, yeah. Yeah, I had one patient get mad at me one time because he said, well, you didn't cure my kidney disease. And I said, I never told you I was going to cure your kidney disease. Wish I could do that.
Another thing.
Yeah.
Do you add ingredients that come along to your formulas?
I mean, do I change them as time goes on?
Yeah.
I can. So far, I haven't. But I can do things. Like you might want to consider adding some beet powder to yours because beet powder increases the nitrate. The nitrates become nitric oxide, which increase circulation, which can help the flow of the fluid through the kidneys a little more efficiently.
Okay.
Yeah. So it might be a fun little trick for you. Okay?
All right.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call. I just hung up on him. Jeff, if you're still listening, another thing I like to talk about with kidney patients is you want to check the nerve supply to the kidneys or any organ. That could be the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the reproductive organs. Because if you're pinching a nerve to an organ, the organ can't work properly. Now, I'm not saying that's the cause of your kidney disease or that's the cause of your romantic issues, whatever it is. But if you open up the nerve supply to an organ, any organ, that's what we do chiropractically, and you get good nutrition, at least Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source as a minimum core nutrient base to get your day going. And then you get the body in motion. Many times we get good results. So that's why we do the chiropractic work, open up the nerve supply to the organs. We check the digestive system to make sure you're absorbing your nutrients. And if you're not, many times we have to adjust the stomach, pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm, get it to relax. And when it does, you're able to absorb nutrients, break down your proteins, pass out waste products. And so we put together a protocol for our patients, not just one thing. We try to cover every aspect that we can. Let's go back to the callers. Lots of callers today. Kathy, how can we make your day better?
I just want your opinion. There are two different schools of thought about fat. And these are all heart doctors, vegan heart doctors, that say that eat a lot of fat. And then there are others that say eat a very, 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 very low fat. And, of course, they both say eat a lot of greens.
Right.
For the nitric oxide. And I've gotten very concerned because I'd rather go the high fat because there are things that I think could be good, but I'm afraid to because of I've been told by so many of them, which you can't say who they are, of course.
Of course.
On the air, but that are suggesting that even heart doctors, that you don't have a very high fat. I mean, these are vegan heart doctors.
Right.
What do you do? I mean, which way should I go?
Well, vegan is definitely the way to go for heart disease, and there's been a lot of research on that. I
agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a question about that. I don't think there's anybody who argues that point. As far as the fat goes, if you're doing a plant-based fats, I think you're going to be okay. So coconut oil, extra virgin organic coconut oil, avocados, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, pecans, nuts, of course, are good. I don't have a problem with the fat as long as it's a plant-based fat. Now, if you start adding vegetable oils, things like soybean oil, corn oil, those are high in omega-6 fatty acids. And omega-6 fatty acids increase inflammation in the body. So I wouldn't do that. I would recommend I take a gram of omega-3 fatty acids every day from algae. Algae oil is the purest form of omega-3 fatty acids that I know of, and that's the kind I take every day.
I was taking something from another doctor that is algae oil, but why do these other doctors, and also a famous marathon runner, woman who overcame cancer, you would know who it is if I said it, but anyway, she has also said that not to have the oil.
Yeah.
I mean, but you are telling me that is okay.
I think it's okay.
As long as it's the right kind.
It's got to be the right kind, and that's the key, too, yeah. And again, a lot of times medical doctors or any type of doctors aren't well-versed in nutrition. You know, it's not their fault. It's not what they're taught. You know, a famous guy once said, forgive.
I'm not talking about medical-type doctors. I mean...
Okay. Even holistic practitioners, yeah.
Very, very holistic,
yeah.
Yes.
But I don't have a problem with whole food, you know, fats coming from whole foods. I don't have a problem with that at all, no.
And you haven't seen any heart disease from eating high fat as long as it's not...
As long as it's not the bad fats. There you go. Exactly right. Yeah, and you know, if you need nitric oxide, like I said, beet powder is very good for that. Arugula is very good for that because it has the nitrates, which convert it. Yeah, and that converts into the nitric oxide.
Chew it a bunch of, stuff it in your mouth and chew the arugula. Is that okay to do?
Oh, you have to.
As far as nitric oxide.
Yeah, you have to. The saliva, it has to activate the nitrates into nitric oxide. Now, of course, stay away from any fructose or high fructose corn syrup. Because
I know.
When fructose gets into the liver, it has to be converted into glucose, and in the process, it creates uric acid, which gets into joints and it hurts. And of course, as a chiropractor, I don't want you hurting. But the uric acid prevents the body from producing nitric oxide. So a lot of people with heart disease don't get that. Yeah.
In other words, like don't drink coffee.
There you go. Coffee's bad. Sugar's bad. High fructose corn syrup bad. Because it can prevent the production of nitric oxide, the fructose in a high fructose corn syrup, and that can affect nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels for people who don't know that. And you want to open up the blood vessels and get good circulation. And if you're doing these things that high fructose corn syrup to prevent the nitric oxide production, you're not going to get good circulation. So stay away from that high fructose corn syrup.
I think these naysayers about the oil think it has an effect, keeps you from getting the nitric oxide somehow, maybe.
It could if it's the bad oils, but the good oils, I don't think you should have a problem.
I mean, even the good oils, they're saying no olive oil, no.
Well,
maybe that's one of them you're talking about.
Well, how about this? We negotiate. Only get the oils from the whole food. So that would be like an avocado as opposed to avocado oil, olives as opposed to olive oil. That I don't see a problem with that at all. Okay?
Okay.
All right, Kathy, got to run. I'm up against a break here, okay? All right, thanks so much. Folks, if you have a question, number's 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, if you want to listen to archived radio shows, watch videos, send me questions, read articles that I've written, order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That's on the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Also available on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can get a lot of my supplements and books there. Hey, folks, got to go to a break. Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Do appreciate you taking time out of your day. We're talking today about ways to boost your brain function and your memory. So let's take a caller first. We have somebody waiting here. George, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. How you doing?
I'm happy you called today, George.
All right. I listen to you all the time.
Well, you're a brilliant man.
Thanks for all the information we get out here.
You are welcome. Always learning something new, right?
Yeah. A question.
Yes.
Type 1 diabetic, 40 years.
Uh-huh.
And my wife says I'm going nuts. I'm losing my mind.
Uh-huh.
And I just want to know the effects. I kind of have an idea, but the effects on the brain of the sugar over a period of time.
Sure. Well, what type 2 diabetes is also called insulin resistance. So what happens is...
I'm a type 1.
Oh, you're type 1 diabetic. Okay, yeah. So the brain needs glucose to run. Its a primary fuel is glucose. And so the brain runs very well with glucose as its fuel. Well, with type 1 diabetes, you're not producing the proper amount of insulin. Insulin goes to the cells and kind of tells it's like a key. It goes into the cell and turns the lock and opens up the cell to allow sugar to come into the cell, glucose, to be used as fuel. So what happens is with type 1 diabetes, you're not producing the proper amounts of insulin, so you're not opening up the right cells. So you're not getting the glucose into the cell. So the glucose is necessary in order for the brain to produce energy and to do its job. So over time, what's called the mitochondria in the cell can start to malfunction. The mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell, they generate the power. And so over time, the cells may not be getting the right amount of fuel, so they may be running, but they may not be running as on a full tank of gas, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So a couple of things you can do as a type 1 or type 2 diabetic is instead of giving the brain glucose as a fuel, you can give it ketones. Now, ketones are a secondary fuel for the brain, but they work very well. It's actually a very efficient fuel. It burns very clean, to kind of put it in generic terms. So you might want to try considering taking something called extra virgin organic coconut oil.
Okay.
Because coconut oil has in it something called medium chain triglycerides, MTCs. MCTs, there you go. medium-chain triglycerides, which then can be used as fuel instead of sugar.
Okay.
So you can do that, or you can actually purchase something called medium-chain triglycerides, which is extracted from the coconut oil, and try taking a tablespoon of that a day, or follow the directions, whatever it says, and see if the brain starts to function a little more efficiently.
Okay, you didn't mention ketones.
Yeah,
I thought that was bad for your system.
Well,
to develop ketones.
Too many ketones can be bad. Yes. Okay, because that's what happens with diabetics is you can go to ketoacidosis and die. But if you put coconut oil in the body as a source, that may be a good fuel for your brain. So try it and see. Try it gently. Start out slow and see how you do. And a lot of people have reported some great results. In fact, there's a really good book out there on Alzheimer's. It's called What If There Was a Cure? And it's written by a medical doctor, and her husband was developing Alzheimer's because his brain wasn't utilizing sugar properly. And she got him on a high ketone diet, low sugar, high ketone diet, and she started to document improvement in his Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So with you, try it and see. Again, everybody's different, and give it a shot and see if you notice anything and see if your wife notices anything.
Okay, great. I appreciate it.
It's worth a shot, George. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And so there's a lot of answers in healthcare, and not every doctor knows every answer. I don't know every answer. I have patients sometimes come in, and I'm just stumped. I don't know what to do with them. So I'll call up my friends who are neurosurgeons or pain management doctors, psychiatrists, and I'll say, hey, I don't know what to do. We're kind of stuck on this one. What would you do? And then we put our brains together, and many times we can put together a protocol that may include chiropractic, that may include medicine, that may include nutrition. I remember years ago, a gal I knew, hardest person in the world to adjust. She had a horrible scoliosis. And one day she took some, she had cramps, and so she took some pain relievers. And I adjusted her that day, and she adjusted beautifully. And ever since then, she adjusted great. The bones moved very easily. And I thought, what was different? So we started talking about it, and so she took a pain reliever, which relaxed the muscles just enough to get everything moving. And then she was able to get chiropractic care and do great. So sometimes we have to mix the professions. And I believe in the next 10 years, you're not going to see a division really in healthcare. You're going to see everything kind of come together as one. And one of the reasons, and we talk about this a lot in the profession, is that doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners and physician's assistants, they're dropping out. They don't want to be doctors anymore because it's not fun anymore. The insurance companies make it literally a living nightmare. In fact, it's impossible, and I say this because I've been doing this for 32 years, to bill insurance companies and get it right every time. Because the insurance companies don't even know. We'll call an insurance company. One person will give us one answer on how to bill it. Another person will give us another answer on how to bill it. They don't even know because they keep changing the rules. So it's just not fun like it used to be a doctor. And so you're seeing doctors dropping out. Doctors are not graduating like they used to. And enrollment is down in chiropractic school, medical schools. And so you're going to see the doctor crisis hit really hard in about the next 5 years. The doctor shortage, I should say. And so you better learn how to take care of yourself because there's not going to be a lot of us around, or as many as there are now, to take care of you. It's going to change dramatically. I've never been wrong in my predictions in healthcare. I'm not going to be wrong on this one either. So from a doctor's standpoint, they're getting tired. They're getting frustrated. So that's why you have to learn how to take care of yourself. And the 3 things you need to understand now before the crisis hits is you have to have a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. The good nutrition is easy. Stay away from what I call the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Try to have something raw at every meal. That could mean broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados. You can buy frozen vegetables, folks. I do this all the time. Organic frozen vegetables. I got a little countertop broiler, and I'll broil up some okra. I'll broil up some broccoli. I'll broil up some. I had beets today, as a matter of fact. I broiled up some beets. Just quick and easy meals that you can turn to, so that you don't fall back on, well, I'll just make a TV dinner or something like that. And eat more of the fruits and vegetables. Eat something raw, an avocado, broccoli, cucumbers, to give your body enzymes. At least take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Absolute minimum to give yourself the core nutrients that your body needs. Then with our office, and if you're listening outside where my practices are, we can always do a phone consultation. I'm more than happy to do these virtual tours now we do with our patients. And we can do a nutritional workup for you, and then advise you what specifically to eat, what other supplements you might need. because my team of doctors and I, we want to be your doctors. Folks, if you missed today's show, I'm going to put it on my website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe. It's going to be there with hundreds of hours of other shows, my live lectures. I got a couple of live lectures coming up, so check my website. Love to have you come out to the live lectures. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We send out good information there when my lectures are coming too. Make sure you bring your kids in to see us because children need care. And if you've been sitting around meaning to get well, stop, get off your butt, go to the website, make an appointment right now, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, folks, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.